I stole them from my wife, don't tell her. I kid you not, that is now locked down. So this is my home aquarium. Look at the size of those plants. Absolute monster plants. Right, show us a proper high kick. Whoa! Welcome back to the vlog, guys, and the build series for the Amazon aquarium you can see behind me. So in the previous two videos, we built the stand, we backgrounded, that's not a thing, we put the lights up, and you know, we've done a whole hardscape in the last video as well. Really good, really happy with how it turned out. But now today it's going to be the planting. This is the big one. It's going to take a long time, to be honest. Long old video, sit back, relax and enjoy. Hopefully by the end of this, it's going to look absolutely awesome. Well, you'll know what it looks like by the thumbnail by now, and let's just get on with it. But before we do any planting or put mortar in or anything like that, I need to glue down these bits of wood. Now they're dense, they're hard, they're heavy, but I guarantee they're full of air pockets as well, and they'll just float up. The way around that, we can use cotton wool pads, like makeup pads. I stole them from my wife, don't tell her. But yeah, you can use those with super glue, not the gel type, the liquid type. As soon as it touches the cotton wool, it sort of goes instantly hard. So you can just put it in key points like where that rock's touching that bit of wood, the background area. No, actually, to be honest, that'll be enough. If we just run it all the way up there, because it's hooked at the top, that'll just sort of lock it down underneath there on that point, and then this wood touching that one as well. So let's just do that now. Right, I kid you not, that is now locked down. I can't move that. There's no way it can float up, which is perfect. So just got to do it on the other points there and underneath. But hopefully you saw what I did there. I chucked sand on top of the sort of wet glue, and that'll just A, hide it, and B, let it all set even better. It will glue the sand, it will glue everything. So, and it looks a little bit natural as well, having a little bit of the dust in the sand on there. Yeah, it's all good. Right, we really are ready for planting now. Now I've got a ton of plants here ready to go in, but there are a few plants that I've got back at one of the tanks at my house. This tank's been set up for like over a year now. It's the longest tank I've ever had set up. It looks like a plant bomb, but that's because I've just left it, because the background plants are the ones I want for this tank, and they are enormous. Let me show you. And here is the tank, guys. So this is my home aquarium. It's in my living room. Happy Christmas. Now, like any builder or cleaner, their homes are either broken or dirty. I'm no different. So my tank at home is just, it's a mess, let's face it, but it's a clean and healthy as you ever could see mess. This tank's been running for over a year. I never do water changes on it. The fish are really healthy. It's currently just blowing around a ton of duckweed because I took a load out. In fact, that whole pot is full of duckweed. I took it all out to just let some light in, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. But you can see in the background there, we have got the Amazon swords. They are looping all the way over to the front here. Now, I deliberately left the tank because I knew I was going to be doing the Amazon tank at one point, and I knew I'd want those plants. They're so mature, healthy, they look amazing, so green, huge as well. They are actually growing at the top of the tank. Let me show you. Oh, that's not gonna, yeah, there we go. So they're growing at the top there. The top parts have gone a little bit crispy with these LED floodlights. Link in the description for these lights, guys, if you're wondering ever if they're gonna be good enough to grow plants. Well, I mean, some would say they're a little too good at growing plants, but I'm gonna be rescaping this. That'll be this weekend's build video. But for now, I just want to get the background Amazon swords out because we need those for our new tank. Oh yeah, and remember, we do still have Sunshine and we have George there. So Sunshine not looking great. Still holding on in there though. She's the last of a bad batch we had. She's been dewormed. She eats well, but you know, look at the size now of that Siamese algae eater. Just an absolute powerhouse of a fish. Absolutely love these Siamese algae eaters this size, by the way. They're like little mini sharks that just swim around. And many people say that they don't actually do their job when they get that big. Well, if you don't overfeed the tank, they definitely do. Like I say, I see him grazing all the time on all of these plants, and there's not a single bit of algae on all of them. But let's get those swords out. Okay, so now you can see why I wanted to keep these and use them again. Look at the size of the plant. It looks great. I've got to do some trimming and take off some of the bad leaves, but that is so good. And that's just one of them. I think I've got about 7 in there. So there is a ton of pruning and cleaning and everything to do yet, but look at the size of those plants. That is what an Amazon saw can do given time. That tank there is 1 meter long, well the base is 1 meter long. There it is up against my foot and my hand. Absolute monster plants. They look so good. They're going to look great. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of them in the new tank because that'll be it. There'll be nothing else to plant, but they're going to look great, aren't they? Let's get them over there. Yes, baby.
Where are you taking those?
Where am I going to take those plants that we just took out? To the new studio. Is that all right? Is that all right, Doodles?
Yeah.
Okay. So that they're gonna. You just stood on them. Right. Show us a proper high kick. Whoa. You've been watching Power Rangers a lot, haven't you? Right, the plants are here. They're absolutely huge and they're covered in duckweed. These might even be too big for this tank, which I didn't think would be the case at all. Maybe this one here at the back here and this one are looking like a good size. This one is absolutely huge though. First of all though, I want to wash off that duckweed because I don't want that in this tank. I'm just going to go and dip them in the goldfish tank and then the goldfish can eat the duckweed. So as you can see, the goldfish tank has got quite a lot of plants at the moment. We're going to be using quite a few of these. That's why they're in here. So they've only been in a few days. So in and out. Let's give them a treat with that duckweed. Okay, so I've managed to save these two plants. They are looking really good, really healthy. Yes, I do wear slippers around the studio. And this plant here is kind of gone. I had to trim back loads of the dead leaves. And then quite a lot of the top ones are actually burnt as well. So, you know, we'll let that one go. We've got two really good ones. They're a good size. I'm going to get those in first. So I think you guys could see there, using tweezers wasn't really going to cut it with that amount of root mass. I added some more gravel in just to make sure we had enough to hold them upright. You know, they're big, heavy plants. They're trying to loop over, so I've rested them on there. They will obviously go upright when the water comes in, but for now we can just rest them like that, stop the stalks snapping or anything. Okay, so we've got one big one over in that corner, and I also want one in this side, or on this side, but just behind this log there's a nice gap, so that'll look quite cool as like a backdrop, and then we can put just tons of other different plants down in this area. That looks cool and is definitely enough. But one thing you guys need, if you're into aquascaping and you're doing like setups regularly, your plants will dry out if you take your time with your build, and you need to get one of these. Now these are key for two reasons. One, you can keep spraying your plants down, but also you can mist all the sort of gravel and sand as you're doing it, and that tends to mean you get less particles float up in the water when you actually fill it up. So yeah, get one of these if you haven't got one. Get it in your garden centre. You can get them for very, very cheap because they're used for like spraying pesticides or stuff like that, but work perfectly for what we need it for, which is just misting down plants. And I just noticed that one of these plants actually had a baby plant. Look, you can see it if it decides to focus. There we go. Look, one of the babies. It would be a shame not to use that, wouldn't it? Let's get that in there with its mother. So now that's enough green, I think. Well, it's not completely enough green, but for the minute, enough. Let's go red, green, red, green. I want to do a pocket in this section just at the base. And for that, I'm going to use 𝗾𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀. So this is like the red variety. You can see here, look, the top part is just converting to its submerged form. Bottom part is all immersed. Now, the difference is obviously that they pull nutrients from soil and CO2 from the air differently when they're out of water, and then they change up, change shape, change sizes even when they're underwater. So that's what's happening there. So what I'll probably do is trim them about halfway and then plant them, because the bottom parts are already sort of, well, they're a bit sorry for themselves. Anyway, that's just normal. They're melting, if you like, but the top parts are good. So we'll get those in. We've also got the green variety here, which is awesome. So we can just keep it nice and, you know, like authentic. Now, I didn't actually realize, but in South America, the 𝗲𝗾𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 grows in South America. I didn't know this. I thought it was like an Asian-y sort of thing, but it's not, which is perfect because we've got some next door, and they give us even more red in this corner, but not too much. So yeah, it's going to be good. And it's sort of making this up as I go along, but I know I want a red pocket there and a red pocket there. The rest can do what it likes. But yeah, let's get it in there. So one thing that I noticed when doing research on the South American rivers was that when you do get stem plants, you get big groups of them, so that you don't just get like an odd little one there and there. There tends to be just massive islands of that specific plant. So that's what I'm going to try and do in a sort of like a scaled down version, obviously, in this tank, is just keep the bunches of plants all grouped together nicely. Kind of like a Dutch style aquarium, but with massive bits of wood and fast flowing water and tons of community fish. It's going to be so good. Okay, that looks a right mess now, but it will come to life when the water comes in. Now, I got these plants from 𝗶𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗀. They're quite fresh in, so I'm expecting a lot of melt back, but that's okay. We'll just keep trimming the top part that gets like converted and replanting. This stuff grows super fast, so we'll get a nice big thick area in there in no time at all. Right, let's keep going. So we've got next some 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝘀𝗀𝗀, again 𝗶𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘶𝗀, 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, looking good. And some 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗾𝗀𝗀𝗀. Look at that, looks so good. Let's get those in. Okay, I just want to leave all the stem plants and everything there for the moment. I'll probably add more when we fill the tank up, but it's getting very hard to see how they're going to sit. I think we're better off doing it when there's some water in there. But one thing I can do now before I fill it up is get in all the foreground plants. And we've got some really nice 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀. Let me check. Yeah, 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗾𝗀𝗀𝗀 from 𝗶𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀. Yeah, so we can put those in. And we've also got 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, brasiliensis, which is obviously Brazilian, so South American. Ideal. There we go, we have got loads and loads of foreground plants there. We've got plants that just sort of spread quite quickly as well, like the sage, that spreads quickly, and it'll actually send out runners into this whole area, which I will allow some of because it will look nice and natural, but I will keep a lot of it open as well, because the research I've done shows that there's a lot of areas that have like sandbanks completely open, and then all the plants clump together in sort of zones. So that's what I want to try and keep in this one, and just keep that foreground looking like real and good and flowy and Right, so I'm going to fill it up with some water now so I can just see how the plants are sitting, and we can like move stuff around and add more, take some away, whatever. Let's just get some water in. Okay, we're filled up. Let me turn the light off, see if that makes a difference to reflections. Yes, completely. Okay, we're filled up, and it's, you know, a little bit misty, of course, because we've only just done it. But, oh, many of you are going to ask, how do I buy this? Where is it? I made this myself. It was like a filter inlet. I just added like some pipe work to it and everything. The water comes out and it hits this and goes left and right rather than straight down, and then that means you don't get much disturbance at all, so it's easy to make. But anyway, back to the scape. Look at that, I love that. I think that's really cool. It's not over the top to start with, it will be eventually, trust me. All these stem plants grow really fast, and they'll be replanted and they'll just fill the whole areas, and even some in there, some of them don't mind the dark areas as well, you see, so we're all right with that. Yeah, again, over here, that kabumba in the back is going to fill that whole area in no time at all. It's just going to look a big fluffy cushion in that corner. Oh, I can't wait. And again, all the foreground plants you can see here, well, some of them, the 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, or whatever you say, I sound like Harry Potter there, but that grows upwards. But all the other ones you can see, the small ones, the 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 brasiliensis and the 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, that will all spread throughout the foreground, and the sage will as well. That will just go everywhere, so that's cool. But I don't want to go any further with the planting in the tank right now. Also, it's going to be tons of swim room, and that really creates a nice sort of channel. It looks deep deep, doesn't it? It looks so deep with the black background, the light fall. Oh, love it. And those swords are great as well, aren't they? They're really sort of looping over, creating dark areas, just like you would sort of see in a river system. Okay, that's great. Next job, let's get a filter fitted. So it's the next day, guys, and we've got a nifty looking sort of haze to all the tank. So what I'm going to do is just a nice big water change, refresh it. That's basically all the tannins being released to the water. First of all, it does this sort of murky whiteness, and then it goes more and more brown. We will want a little bit of that, but not too much. It's just a good idea to do a nice big water change the day after you filled it up. So there we go, looking sweet again. Now the 𝗶𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀 in the background there, I'm a little bit worried that it's not going to just sort of take off. It's a plant that requires an absolute ton of light apparently. Well, when you think about it, it's being hit all day in the South American rivers by like blazing sunshine. My hope is that it will actually grow forwards and out of that corner, which means it will be right directly underneath this light. But if it doesn't, and we need to prepare that it doesn't, I'm going to put another plant in that looks very similar to it, which is 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝘀𝗀𝘀. Now 𝗲𝘾𝗾𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀 grows like a weed. It doesn't care if it's shaded, and it's just going to cover our bets and give us the best chance of success when setting up a new ecosystem. I've already got a ton of the plant established and working really well in other tanks. So look over here, in this tank in the back corner there. Well, when I set this up, there was hardly any light there. Now it's grown up into it, and it grows super fast, and it's just really good for new setups as well. If the 𝗶𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀 does take off, then I'll take it out and just keep it authentic. If it doesn't, then, you know, we've got backup and it'll look good anyway. So get that in now. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I mean, it's all still a bit misty, but that was such a good decision. How good does that look? And it's pretty much, look, the textures look exactly the same as the plants right around it as well. The 𝗶𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀 there, the red 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝘀𝘀, look at it, it looks great. And now we just need to sort out the other side. I want to fill in that big gap at the back there as well. And then maybe a little bit here, just loads, just get it in there. And there we have it, guys. I think this one's turned out pretty immense. Now I went for a lot bigger plants in this setup because doing my research I saw that all the plants in most of the Amazonian rivers, you know, it's a set of rivers, it's not just one, it's like tons, like anyway, but the plants are big, there's lots of them, so that's what I've tried to replicate in our tank. Obviously I wanted some detail as well though, so I've still got some smaller plants in the foreground, but they're still native to the South American rivers. You know, I want to be authentic, but we don't have to be like completely exact. But I am by no means finished. I have got so much more planned. So in the next video we're going to be fitting wave makers, the first fish will go in, and also I've got some really cool immersed plants that I want to be putting, and I've got like a sort of clever way of hanging them in the tank as well, so that the roots are in the water but the plant is out. More on that next episode. But hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Make sure you click the like, subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one.